usually like to do these narrations outdoors, but it is raining like crazy. And I thought, where can I install myself and have some fun with this narration, especially since it's kind of a serious topic. It has to do with holidays and loneliness, specifically Thanksgiving. Last year, I found myself alone. It was not supposed to happen, but a couple things just didn't work out. And so I went to a yoga class and then went home and cried my eyes out. Now, luckily that turned around. I ended up spending a very nice Thanksgiving with a friend and her family. So I wanted to be much more intentional this year. And I talked about that with my business coach, Geeta Nadkarni. And her response was, whoa, so different than what I would have thought. Not only did she admit to feeling loneliness in the space of her marriage, which of course, logically, yes, of course you're going to feel that way. But when you're not in a partnership like that, you just don't think about that. It's like, if I'm lonely, it's the only loneliness that exists on the planet. It was so helpful to hear her perspective on it. And not only that, we ended up having like an hour-plus long conversation about the holidays, loneliness, personal agency. What does that even have to do with it? All the things. And she is married with kids. I'm single with no kids. And we both wrestle with things in our own way. And the way the conversation went was way different than what I expected. So what I'm going to do is actually share a couple of nuggets with you now. And then if you want to listen to the whole discussion, that link will be in the description. So I wanted to nerd out a little bit about loneliness first.
You know, this was a guy that knew everyone in the town I used to live in. And I'm like, dang, I wish I could be like him. And then when I spent quality time with him, he readily admitted he felt unbelievably isolated and lonely. And I just was completely gobsmacked. Like, if someone has all the plans, it doesn't mean they're having fun. It doesn't mean they feel really connected. And it doesn't mean they're not lonely.
Correct. Exactly so. It might just be workload without joy.
You know, I'm single, you're married. Like, where that, if there is loneliness around those times, that I'm completely blind to. Because for me, I'm like, oh my God, you're married and you guys love each other and it's great. For holidays, that's an assumption. So tell me about all that.
I won't pretend it's not great. It is mostly great. But there's plenty of loneliness within, like, we've been together 21 years and there have been giant pockets of loneliness where one or the other of us is growing faster than the other or is stalled. We're drifting and needs are not being met. And no one's having those conversations, or nobody knows how to have those conversations, or the conversations keep tiptoeing around the same stupid shit. And you're still like, wow, is this need ever going to get met? Like, what am I going to do with this need? Should I just try and kill it? Like, what do I do with it? We parent together, we work together. Every decision I make affects him. Every decision he makes affects me, etc. When you have loneliness in a marriage like this, where we are we're more intertwined than probably most marriages, because not everybody works together and so on. And we don't both have thriving social circles. We're working on it. I feel like when you're lonely in this context, you can definitely have this added story of, wow, how much do you suck at life that you have ticked all the boxes and your box is still empty?
There was a moment in the conversation where I really got real with Geeta about how difficult this time of year is for me and just what my experiences were and things like that. The nature of the pit of despair that I fell into last year and other years, frankly. Her response was way more heartfelt and yet empowering than I could have ever expected.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you a satisfying answer on this, Christina, because I don't let anything do this to me. I just don't let anything do this to me. I'm sorry. Once upon a time, not so long ago, I was a type A overachiever. I'm a recovering type A overachiever. I still have achievement bias. So when I was in that phase where I was like, if I don't build this giant business, because that was kind of my Christmas present, if you will, or my table that I was setting. And I was like, if I don't build this thing and I don't have a team and I don't have all these people who like love me because I've created this opportunity for them, then I am worth nothing. So I've been through this particular forest. Then I got chronic fatigue syndrome because I got a virus and it was undiagnosed and whatnot, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And for like, I ended up needing 3 naps a day, barely could get out of bed, had no energy, had no idea what was wrong with me. So I had no diagnosis and I felt like I was nuts. So that was a very, very confronting. I had to rewrite my entire reality, including my identity, because I went from training for an ultra marathon, running a multi-million-dollar company, having a team, to none of those things. And I was suicidal for a moment. When I decided to come back, when I made the commitment that I would continue to live, going to the very, very edge of that precipice, if you can pull yourself back, the people who've done it probably know what I'm talking about. You have a freedom that most of us can only dream about. If I'm ready to literally give it all up, then I will come back on my terms and my terms only. And that began the journey of me realizing that the central skill set that I invest in on a day-to-day basis, like if I had to drop everything else, this is the only thing that I would care about. Did I get this done? Did I do something in this department? Did I learn how to be a better partner to myself? That is it. The end. It's one thing. One. And that means every difficult situation is an opportunity to practice. Every easy situation is an opportunity to practice. And everything in between is an opportunity to practice. I will never give my worthiness to anyone or anything ever again. I love to practice being a great friend. So I'm like, this is something like, it's a skill set I'm like, I have game in this department and I want to continue to have game in this department. So who do I get to practice with all damn day? Me. Right? So I'm like, okay, so if you had a friend who wanted to celebrate her birthday but didn't have a lot of people in town to celebrate it with, or felt lonely or whatever, what would you tell her to do? Like, well, how would you help her? And I'm like, well, great, I get to practice that. I get to practice what I would preach to somebody else.
Don't you love that whole concept about being a good friend to yourself? What would that look like for you? Let's hear from Geeta how she was a good friend to herself.
These days, I get so much juice from art. Like art and journaling and illustrated journaling was something that brought me back from the precipice. Like it literally was the thing that unlocked my willingness to continue living. And then it has blossomed into this thing that really feeds me a lot of joy. And so I've started teaching art classes, which I'm like, what? Like in my house, like it's kind of not not something I ever thought I would do. I'm not I have no credentials in this area, whatever. I like it. I am more interested in it than most people. That's my credential.
So the way that I'm a good friend to myself is I check in on what the heck I actually want.
Yeah, and that's what I want to share with you, how I found agency, which was doing the process that I do with clients. So I literally ask myself, and it's just hilarious that I've been doing this process for 10 years. And did I ever do it on these stressful areas of my life? No. So I sat down and I did 4 things. 1, I looked at all the areas that there was pain or resistance or whatever, kind of integrated those. And I'm not going to lie, there were tears. Then I asked myself, what did I want to experience in a general way? This is how I would like to experience this holiday. That even surprised me. I'm like, you know what? I realized that I actually, and this is no shade, I just didn't want kids to dominate my
No
face.
shade taken.
And for
No
some
mother will give you shade for that.
Right? Like, okay, the image that came to mind for me was like a manor house where people are riding horses and then having a fancy meal. Like, this is not the literal thing that I wanted, but I wanted that level of elegance and peace. And what came through when I took myself through my whole magic voodoo process, which is like a shamanic journey of sorts, is that I really want to create beautiful meals for people in need. That is the core of what I want to do for this holiday. It has nothing to do with, am I loved by certain people? Like, it took all of that fear, doubt, and low self-worth off the table. And so now my thought process is, and I'm super proud of this, by the way, because like I've never gone to this level.
You should be.
Of claiming it.
Now
I'm just like, who do I need to connect with for this?
Exactly. And I think, so there's a couple of things that you said that I'm like, all of this. First of all, if all of us took double doses of our own medicine, we would all be so much richer in every sense of that word. You would know yourself better, you would have better faith in your tools, you would have more confidence, you would have a deeper sense of worth that actually came from lived experience and track record and not just something aspirational. You did it. You practiced on yourself what you normally do for others, and it gave you literally everything you were looking for.
And then Geeta has a juicy distinction around the risk of not listening to what you actually want.
Like, did you know that you wanted to create elegant meals for other people? Right? Like it's a different flavor. Imagine if you had even been invited to a place and it was this bustling family thing and there were some kids running around and whatnot, and you would have everything you thought you wanted and it would still feel empty, which would then continue to erode your confidence in your own wanting, which I think happens a lot.
Oh, that is so absolutely spot on.
So towards the end of our conversation, I shared with Geeta a really powerful vision that I have for what I want to feel like in an intimate partnership when and if that arrives. We'll say when. When I shared it, Geeta responded with this beautiful sentiment. That's what I want to leave you with today.
I think that like we all need an inner sanctuary of like feeling loved, feeling blessed, feeling engaged in our life in a beautiful way. And for me, it looks like the feeling that you get when you're like on a comfy couch in a cafe somewhere and just sitting on a couch with someone you love and you're just flowing with the moment. You have your good warm beverage and everyone's just going on their own timing. And sometimes you share together and sometimes you don't. And everything is just gentle and quiet. And like there's sun coming in, maybe some tunes on, like there's just a level of peace and acceptance
and
that feels like love to me. So if I were to ask you, what is your version of kind of like a mind palace that you're like, yes, this is the vibe?
So, it's interesting. You just said it. Like, you're like sitting on the couch with someone you love, except the someone you love is always available because it's me. I'm always sitting on the couch with someone I love. Like that is to me the biggest doorway to that sense of equanimity of like, okay, I'm able to take on whatever is in front of me because I have someone I love who has my back. And that's me. I have my back.
So what kind of Thanksgiving do you want this year, my friend? And are you willing to, number one, be honest about that? Number two, take a moment and check in with yourself about what the heck you actually want to experience. And if that just makes your head crazy, maybe just start with like a really general vibe that you want, like peace or energy or weirdness, and then let the breadcrumbs go from there. It's just worked for me when I'm very confused and I don't know where to start. So what about that question? Like, what kind of friend do you want to be to yourself? How can you be a really good one? How can you be a great partner to yourself? And how can you have your own back? And I would love to hear what your version of that is. Newsflash, I reached out to a women's shelter just down the way and asked them like, hey, would you guys be interested in having somebody make you a gorgeous meal for Thanksgiving? The lady who's super busy has already gotten back to me and we're gonna talk on the phone really soon. I wish for you a holiday season where you feel connected to something bigger than yourself and that you allow yourself to be drawn towards whatever experience you want. I also want to welcome you to my channel. I didn't do that before. So I conduct experiments here and explore ideas. I just try things out and then I report back. So if that's something that appeals to you, I invite you to subscribe. I'd love to have you around here and I appreciate it. See you for the next one, my friend. Smoocheroo.